Now, finding the perfect lead for a series involves a lot of forethought and painstaking research. For Trek, this is no different. The entire production could hang or fall on the performance of one actor. So, how do you best go about sourcing the best one? Star Trek has so many captains at this point that they should have the art down to a T. How do they go about it? Do they always source unknown actors, or do they rely on a body of work that's established from an actor? In Discovery's case, there have been several captains in its short lifespan, not to mention setting up the Strange New Worlds spin-off as well. Not included in this list are the likes of Burnham. She'll appear in another list. Chill yourself. Spock, Sulu, Scotty and Riker. Yes, they all made the rank of captain, I hear ya, but not during the main run of their shows. So, whether it's pilot episodes or full-length series, the captain commands the top job on the ship. What do you need to become a captain in this Star Trek universe? Well, I'm Marcus Bronzy, and we're about to find out with how each Star Trek captain got cast as captain. Number 13, Dawnn Lewis. Dawnn Lewis is voicing Captain Carol Freeman, who is in command of the USS Cerritos, one of the newest Federation vessels featured in Star Trek Lower Decks, which, for the record, I like. The Cerritos is a ship that is tasked with the second contact. They basically arrive at a world immediately after first contact and find the best places to eat, does that good artisan bread, who has the best coffee, the usual Trek stuff. Quick throw to Adam Cleary and Sean Ferrick, who are giving us all of the Easter eggs and ups and downs from Star Trek's latest animated series. Anyway, Dawnn Lewis has a strong history of vocal acting, including work as La Barbara Conrad, wife to Hermes Conrad in Futurama. She's also provided the voice for Storm in 3 X-Men games, also appearing in Mortal Kombat as well.
Fatality.
She's a veteran actor of the stage and screen. As recently as November of last year, 2019, she began appearing on Broadway in the role of Tina Turner's mother Zelma in the show Tina. She's got a wealth of acting experience and she is an excellent choice for this highly capable captain who feels like she's in command of a ship that's not top priority. Number 12, Santiago Cabrera. Santiago Cabrera's Cristobal Rios has been one of the better additions to the franchise in Star Trek Picard. The series has been somewhat polarizing with its reception, with many saying it's a far cry from the Trek of old, while others say it's a natural successor from where Nemesis left off. Whichever side of the argument you come down on, Santiago Cabrera has quickly established himself as one of the more memorable cast members of the Star Trek family. Not only does he play Rios, but he also takes on the roles of the holographic crew in the La Sirena. While his accents may have varied a little bit, what was consistent was his sense of fun. He first became known for his stint on Heroes alongside Zachary Quinto. From there, he has appeared in several shows on both sides of the Atlantic, including a stint on Big Little Lies, which also featured Trek alum Adam Scott. In taking on the role of Captain Rios, Cabrera has become something of a cross between a new Riker character, all in the beard and that, and a haunted captain, calling back in a small sense to the Deckers and Edisons of past. Though his demons have been aired by the end of the first seasons, Rios clearly has layers to him. Cabrera in the first season got to showcase a range of acting talent from holograms to flamboyant traders, and in the second season, well, hopefully he'll get to have even more fun with this great character. Number 11, Anson Mount. One of the single best additions to the Star Trek franchise recently was Anson Mount, taking on the role of the original captain of the Enterprise, Christopher Pike. Mount has been a die-hard fan of Trek for years. He has a long list of acting credits to his name as well, though you probably best know him for Hell on Wheels or the infamous Inhumans Misfire. Should we not? Yeah, we'll leave that in. He originally auditioned for the role of Captain Lorca back before season 1 started filming, though of course this went to Jason Isaacs. Mount was cool though because, well, spoiler alert, Lorca dies. When the second season was coming around, the producers remembered Mount's audition for Lorca and contacted him again, sending him dummy scripts to keep secret about which legacy characters would be returning. In fact, his script was for a Captain Parker, and they asked him to put the audition on a tape. Mount later joked that the Parker name was a little bit bland for a captain, but gave it his best effort regardless. Thankfully he did, because they came back to him a day later and said, "Yo, Pike, Captain, you." He'd been cast, and I am so happy because he is an amazing captain. He dominated the second season with his stage presence, and fans absolutely love him. And if you don't at me. Number 10, Jason Isaacs. Jason Isaacs initially turned down Star Trek Discovery as he was not interested in simply rehashing what had gone before. As a child, he'd been a massive fan of the original series, going so far as to, in his words, put in 10,000 hours trying to move a coffee cup with his mind. Inspired by Gary Lockwood's Gary Mitchell in the second pilot. Thankfully, he eventually agreed to a Skype call with the producers, which led to them convincing him to come on board. And Discovery was going to be different. It was going to reflect some of the more adult situations that the crew came across. As it stands, Isaac's time on Discovery has come to an end, and it's unlikely that the Prime Universe character is going to come back, but this is Star Trek, isn't it? Time travel means anything's possible. Number 9. Michelle Yeoh. Discovery is unique among the Star Trek series for a few reasons. One of them is it's the first iteration of Trek to be led by 2 women of colour. Though Captain Georgiou was rather unceremoniously killed off in the pilot, Michelle Yeoh had by no means vanished, returning as the evil Emperor Georgiou later in the season. Yeoh's career is highly impressive. She wasn't only the star of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and Tomorrow Never Dies, but is also a former ballerina, a career that was brought short by a back injury. She does her own stunts on Discovery too, something that has added to the fun of her character. Finding Yeoh was something of a cross between fate and a stroke of luck on all sides. One of the key ingredients to her casting was her ability to bounce effortlessly off Sonequa Martin Green. She's rumoured to eventually lead her own spin-off series revolving around Georgiou's career with Section 31, as her character has been thrown into the far future with the rest of Discovery. It's yet unclear how this series is going to happen, but some extra time with Yeoh is time well spent. Number 8, Bruce Greenwood. Bruce Greenwood is a Canadian actor and musician who joined the Star Trek universe as Captain Pike in 2009's J.J. Abrams reboot. The inclusion of the Pike character made him the 3rd actor to portray him after Jeffrey Hunter and Sean Kenny. According to writer-producer Roberto Orsi, Greenwood's performance in 2000's 13 Days, a dramatisation of the Cuban Missile Crisis where Greenwood played JFK, was chiefly responsible for considering him for the part. He displayed a gravitas that was necessary in Pike's portrayal. His dare to Kirk to do better is the drive that pushes the action of the story forward. His subsequent kidnap by Nero then results in a daring rescue mission by Kirk and Spock, something that builds on their relationship greatly. Greenwood returned for Star Trek Into Darkness, with this film depicting the death of Pike, an event that affects both Kirk and Spock deeply. Whilst Greenwood may not have had an enormous amount of screen time, he left a stamp on that character. Number 7, Chris Pine. Chris Pine was very much in the up-and-coming category when he was cast in 2009's Star Trek, directed by J.J. Abrams. He'd previously appeared in such films such as Princess Diaries 2 and Smoking Aces, though he was yet to fully lead a film as he would with Star Trek. He felt that he completely botched his first auditions, and he couldn't take himself seriously as a leader. He may have been correct, as Abrams never got to see that audition tape, and if he did, he may have not got the role. However, Pine's agent, in a genius move, met Abrams' wife, who then convinced Abrams to give him a shot. Backing this up, Zachary Quinto, who had already been cast as Spock, spoke in favour of him. The two of them knew each other from working out at the same gym, giving another voice in Abrams here to give the young actor a chance. Who said the gym was just for working out? You can get Hollywood roles there. So be nice to the guy that asks you to spot him when he's trying to get that extra squeeze off his bench press. Number 6, Scott Bakula. Scott Bakula was the first and only choice when it came to playing the captain of the first Enterprise. He was at the time most well known for his role of Dr. Sam Beckett on Quantum Leap, which ran from 1989 to 1993. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. He was no stranger to science fiction. He settled into the role of Archer quickly, leading the crew on some of Starfleet's earliest missions. The issues with the show arose when it turned out that contemporary audiences didn't react as the producers had hoped, with viewer numbers staying low for the run of the series. Enterprise became the first live-action Star Trek series to be cancelled since the original series back in 1969, but like the original series from 1969, it's recently discovering something of a second life thanks to its arrival on Netflix. Number 5. Kate Mulgrew. It's now relatively well known that Kate Mulgrew was not the producer's first choice for the role of Captain Janeway. She originally auditioned via videotape when the producers announced casting, though she was not happy with her performance as the then named Elizabeth Janeway. She managed to secure an in-person audition later, though that same day, Geneviève Bujold was cast as Nicole Janeway. A mere 2 days later, she left the part and Mulgrew, who had been the second choice for the role, took over. History was made as Mulgrew became the first starring female captain in Star Trek. The show struggled a bit though in its first year, as new Treks do, while it tried to figure out what was going on, and Mulgrew felt a little bit frustrated by the changes her character went through in the early days. She once remarked that she felt like time was being wasted on trivialities like her hair. Things did eventually settle down, and Star Trek Voyager would be the flagship show for the United Paramount Network, lasting 7 seasons. Number 4. Avery Brooks. The search for Sisko involved a huge list of names, and Avery Brooks was finally cast in the role, but it didn't come easy. These names included Bruce Greenwood, Ben Cross, both of whom would later go on to appear in Star Trek, Tony Todd, Ernie Hudson, John Glover. They were also on the list alongside Peter Capaldi. Alexander Siddig also auditioned, Dr. Bashir, even though producers knew almost immediately he was too young for the part. But Brooks beat out 100 other actors for the part of Sisko. Brooks was also well known for his portrayal as Hawk on the detective series Spencer for Hire, which also resulted in his own spin-off series, A Man Called Hawk. Brooks' agent gave him the script, which he read whilst he was on holiday in the Caribbean. He particularly enjoyed the depiction of this character helping to save the galaxy, that he was also a person of colour and a devoted father, all while trying to come to terms with the death of his wife. Number 3. Sir Patrick Stewart. On December 10th, 1986, the first casting call sheet was sent out for The Next Generation. The producers sought for Captain Julian Picard, a Caucasian man in his 50s who was very youthful, in prime physical condition, and he was to be born in Paris with a mid-Atlantic accent. Sir Patrick Stewart was, at the time, according to the LA Times, an unknown Shakespearean actor. He was spotted in a play by Robert Justman, who just had to appeal to Gene Roddenberry to get him into an audition. That is not easy. Picard was a reflection of Roddenberry's evolution and growth. Kirk had been the macho man, whereas Picard was to be more contemplative and discerning. However, in Roddenberry's mind, Picard was definitely, if anything, French. In Gene's eyes, Stewart just didn't fit the character, and it was Justman who had to continue to push for him while Gene continued to see other actors. Eventually, he came around and began to rework the character into something better suiting Stewart. The French aspect, though, that had to stay. And though Stewart continued to speak with his native accent, he had to throw in a few bonjours and je m'appelles and, well, proper French when he was in France, and at various times during The Next Generation. Anyway, number 2, William Shatner. Most Star Trek fans know that the original pilot, The Cage, was rejected by the network. Star Trek had been sold to them as a wagon train to the stars, which would combine action and a weekly dose of drama. However, The Cage was deemed lacking in action, and a new script was written, where no man had gone before ramped up the action, and through it came a loss. Jeffrey Hunter declined the opportunity to return for the second pilot, and the team were left without a captain. Several actors were reconsidered for the role. Lloyd Bridges and Jock Lord were both, but Lord was the studio's top choice. However, he demanded 50% ownership of the show, which wasn't a bad idea, but it wasn't a deal that they were willing to cut. So he was dropped before Shatner was cast. He had been working for several years already, most recently in a Shakespearean production, along with several failed pilots. Star Trek would become Shatner's ticket to stardom. Shatner brought an upbeat mood to the captain, aiming to depict him not only as the commander, but as the captain. The power where possible as well. His experience in comedy helped him to make James Kirk one of the most recognisable characters in television history. Number 1, Jeffrey Hunter. Like I said, The Cage was the first pilot of Star Trek, which itself was originally titled The Menagerie. Hunter was, at the time, notorious for his portrayal of Jesus Christ in 1961 film King of Kings. His youthful looks had led him to being called, scathingly, the teenage Jesus. After this, he appeared in a show called Temple Houston, which, in his opinion, suffered from incorrect approaches by the studio. The idea came from humour delivered in a deadpan seriousness, which just didn't work, and the show did not last, leaving him free to appear in The Cage in 1965. The Cage was rejected by the network though. However, Hunter declined to return for the refilm of a pilot, which was very rare to get a second chance in those days, as he felt cinema is where his true passion was. Though he was under contract to continue as Pike for 6 months after filming, he was crucially not under contract to refilm a pilot, which is where he could turn it down. Though he only ever acted in one episode, Hunter is remembered today through the longevity of the character and is even included in Star Trek Discovery episodes if memory serves. So there you go, how every captain got cast. Almost because of what I said before, but you know what I mean, all right? Don't start in the comments. Did we miss anyone though? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to drop us a sub and like us while you're at it as well. You can find us on Twitter at Trek Culture. I'm also on there as well at Marcus Bronzy, MarcusBronzy. Until next time, peace. I mean, live long and prosper.